I'm George Kessler. I'm the Director of Projects for the NASA HUNCH program. And I just wanted to take a minute to thank you for your participation in the HUNCH program this year and just let you know how important what you're doing is and let you know that you're not just working on a project for the NASA HUNCH program. You're part of the NASA team and you're part of the space program. So the incredible work that you're doing, that you see some of this behind me, is really exceptional and is really significant. And you can be very proud of the work that you're doing and know that you're part of the space program. So we want to take the time to thank you for that and congratulate you for the excellent work that you're doing. This work is going into space. It's going to support the International Space Station program and will actually become part of the International Space Station. So I don't know how many people can say that they do that kind of work when they're in high school, but it's not that many. So thank you for the work that you're doing and congratulations on a job really well done.
Hello guys, I'm Gabriela Barnwell. I'm the QA from NASA HUNCH.
And I'm Florence Gold, and I am a NASA HUNCH mentor and help students fill out their QA forms.
So Flo, do you have any questions to ask me?
I do, Gabby. My first question is, what do you look for while you are inspecting these parts?
Well, I always start checking all documentations. You guys need to make sure you have all documents in the package. We start with the 881, CFC, 829, and the drawings.
Well, that's great. And how about when you are inspecting and going over the documents like 881 and 829? What do you check for there?
You have to make sure you fill out all the steps from the 881 from 1 to 5. Make sure you date it and sign it. And always make sure you use a black or blue pen.
That's awesome, and I want to thank you so much for doing all that quality assurance for the students. That really does help to make sure our parts get to fly in space. So thank you, Gabby, so much, and thank you, students.
Thank you, Flo.
Hello, everyone. I'm Florence Gold, and we're going to go over the Flight Hardware Quality Assurance Training today. The quality assurance documents are just as important as your precision machining of the hardware if you want your part to fly to the space station. So there are 4 quality assurance documents that we're going to go over that must accompany your flight hardware. The drawing, Form 881 or sub-assembly process sheet, Form 829 or dimensional inspection report, and the certificate of conformance. And I will be talking about each of these forms in detail. So the first form is the drawing, and the drawing takes precedent over the other 3 forms we just saw. It's always should be in front of you when you are filling out these forms because it has some very important information that you will need on the form. So on the bill of material on the drawing, above the word material is actually the raw material that your part will be made from. And above the word specification is a kind of a category of what that part your material is using. There's also a REV on the bill of material, and that stands for revision, and you must take note of that. There are notes on your drawing that are also very important for you to review. But most importantly, why you need this drawing in front of you is because certain tolerances are called out on the drawing that may not be called out on your dimensional inspection report. So have the drawing in front of you. Make sure you are looking at the specific tolerances. The first form that you actually have to fill out is called Sub-Assembly Process Sheet, or 881. And this form I want you to start by putting your name, the name of the school on the very top. And this is for traceability. What school actually manufactured the part and inspected it? The part under your name, I kind of call the title block, and it should have check that it has the correct information for what you are manufacturing for NASA. So this is a legal document. It must be filled out in black or blue ink only. You can't use pencil or orange or purple um, pens. But if you do make a mistake, I just want you to put one line through it so we can still read what you're crossing out. Don't use whiteout. And then put in the correct date or the correct information of whatever you made your mistake. This form actually has 10 steps. You are only going to do the first 5. NASA will fill in 6 through 10. Step 1, it's just asking for the revision. So look at your drawing and make sure you record the correct revision. Step 2, ask for the information of the raw material. The description is the raw material that is found above the word material on your bill of material in the drawing. The specification is found above the word specification on the drawing. The lot number, however, is not found on the drawing. It is found on that certificate of conformance, one of the 4 documents we just saw in the first slide. So you need to keep that certificate so that you can copy down the lot number from it. Step 3 is simply make sure you're building the material per your drawing. Step 4 is to remove any sharp edges. This is really important. We want you to actually remove sharp edges and burrs before you even send us your part. And we can't have sharp edges because the astronauts will handle your parts and we don't want to cut them. This takes a lot of finesse, but do it carefully, and make sure you double check that we don't have any sharp edges. And step 5 is to fill out Form 829 or Dimensional Inspection Report, which we'll see in a second. Under the date, this form you must include the month, day, and year. The year is real important, so don't forget to do that. Under tech column, that's the person who machined the part, and they just need to initial it. So many times we can't read initials or even signatures. So what we do is we give you a QC stamp. And this stamp is like your signature. Your teacher will tell me who he or she assigned to this stamp. And I'll keep a record of it so that I know who is inspecting this part. You must also keep that stamp in a secure location. You only need one of these forms to accompany all your parts that you make, as long as all your parts come from the same package with the same certificate with the same lot number. If the lot number changes, you need to fill out another form to accompany the parts with a new lot number. So the dimensional inspection report is the second document that you will be filling out. And this is a legal document, black or blue ink only. If you have to cross out something, just one single line through it and then write in the correct measurement. And in the beginning here, check that it agrees with your drawing, and you will have to put the date. And when you put the date, you need the month, day, and year. There are several columns. The first column is for your print zone on your drawing, it actually locates the dimension listed in the second column, which is the dimensions, and all these dimensions are in inches. The next 6 columns are for you to measure 6 different parts. And so all the part number 1 that you make will have these measurements in them, all the different measurements that are required for one part. And you can do 6 parts in this form. If you have 30 parts, then you're going to need 5 of these forms to fill out. For just keep numbering from 1 to 30. The tool number column is for what instrument you use to calibrate your is for what instrument you use to measure these parts. So if you use a caliper, put down caliper. If you use a radius gauge, put down radius gauge. And when you look at the row, and if all your measurements for that particular dimension are in tolerance, then I want you to stamp this form. Now, there's another stamp called an LM stamp, and the LM stamp stands for linear measurement. And you can, this is the same as the QC, in which it's your signature. We get a list of what student has this stamp, and you need to keep it in a secure location and do not share it. It's your signature. And the QC stamp can also stamp, the person with the QC stamp can also stamp this form. If there is a part that's not in tolerance, I want you to highlight it in yellow and do not stamp the last column, because when you stamp the last column, that means everything is good to go. And sometimes we could still use the part that is not in tolerance with one of the dimensions. Sometimes we can fix it, and sometimes we can use it for training. So we still want the part, but do not stamp that row and highlight the information that is not in tolerance. Sometimes also the drawing will have like 4 little parts that are the same, and that you have to measure all 4 parts, and you can't fit 4 measurements in one of these little cells. So we want you to put the least measurement and the largest measurement in the cell, and don't worry about any others unless one of the measurements is not in tolerance. And if one of the measurements is not in tolerance, I want you to put that measurement down, highlight in yellow, and do not stamp that row. The fourth document that has to accompany your part is called the Certificate of Conformance, or CFC. And this document actually has a very important information about the raw material, so that we can trace it back to who made that raw material and exactly what chemistry is in that raw material, and even the batch that was made. And to get that traceability, we need what's called a lot or heat number, which comes on this certificate of conformance. And that lot or heat number is so important that we not only put it on Form 8081, which you saw, but we'll also put it on labels on the baggies that you will send your individual parts to us in. So here's what you need to do to label the bag. So each part gets its own bag. You never write on the part. You keep the part as clean as possible. Do not write with marker or anything on your part. Wash your hands when you're working with the part and keep it as clean as possible. And the information that we want on your label is the NASA facility you're working for, like Johnson Space Center or Marshall or Glenn. We have several space centers working for us and making our students there or making hardware. The name of the school and the school year, which for this year is 23-24. Then you put the drawing number, which is on the drawing, and the drawing actual name of the part. And then you put the lot number. Remember, the lot number is not found on the drawing. It is found on the certificate of conformance. So this part is part 4, and all the measurements under that column on your dimensional inspection sheet, all those measurements are listed in the column that says part number 4. Okay, so when you have the first 6 parts ready to go, we want you to mail it to Houston, and we will send you back in an evaluation sheet. And on this evaluation sheet, it will have what will mark off that you have completed correctly and enclosed all 4 of these documents: the drawing, the Form 881, 829, and the certificate of conformance. Then we also check it, either satisfied minimum work or complete rework, for your deburring and sharp edges. So take your time with that. That takes a lot of finesse to do it without changing the tolerances. The geometry, a lot of drawings have DIA, or a circle with a slash through it, stands for diameter. R stands for radius. Make sure your geometries are correct, and your measurements, the tolerances are all in tolerance that is specified in the drawing. And then your part should look like fine jewelry. It really comes out nicely finished on the surface. The labeling, the most important part, make sure you have, is the description of the part number, and the lot number goes on the labeling. And then we want you to package it and send it to Houston. So here's a checklist. You have included all the important documents, and that all the parts do not have burrs or sharp edges, and they're individually bagged with the correct labels on the bag. So thank you all so very much for working on this part. It is sincerely appreciated by the NASA and NASA HUNCH teams. We hope you have enjoyed working on this part. Thank you so much.